Hi everyone, it's Russell Lowe speaking, and in this tutorial I'm going to create a two-point perspective version of the same object that we created, or that I created in one-point perspective in an earlier tutorial. I'll put that tutorial, a link to that tutorial in the description below, but today we're going to be working towards getting the same object drawn in two-point perspective. I've set this one up so that it's got those layers so I didn't have to type them out. Let's just create holding shift down, create a line there. Let's also give it a color like grey. 1 is good, so that's good. Move that across there a little bit, and then a vertical line going down here. That's going to be my, it should be grey too, and stick that up at 1 mil as well, and then some text just to label it as VP, and let's zoom in a little bit. Make it a little bigger so we can actually see it, and yep, that'll do us. Oh, it's got a black, oh, that's a odd, wonder why that looked odd. Let's go there, and then let's go there, make it grey as well, and actually let's flip those. There we go, that's better. Okay, so we've got that set up. I'll just copy all this stuff and hold down Alt and drag it across here, copy those ones, drag them there like that. In fact, I didn't quite line that up properly. It'd be nice if these things lined up a little better, wouldn't it? Actually doesn't really matter that much, to be honest, but if you want to do something, often you want to do it right. So there we go. The reason why I've done these in two parts is because I'm going to put my line elements, the object is going to pass through the horizon, so later on I know I'm going to have to split the horizon. So let's go back to there. In fact, I've done my horizon and vanishing points in the same thing, so let's just delete that one. So now I'm on to the vertical part of it. Now make sure we're on the layer verticals, that's good. I believe maybe I'm still, there we go, I was still actually somehow locked onto that layer, so this is going to define most of everything. So there we go, pretty much front and center, and there we go. So let's start. I've only got one edge highlighted, so rather than in one point perspective drawing the whole face, drawing this whole rectangular face, in two point perspective you can really only draw that front edge, but now we start going and linking them back to the, projecting them back to the vanishing points. You can hit Control and click so that it lets you come or start directly from an anchor point. I'm going to hit the V, unlock that. Let's get this out of the way. Right, lock that back up again, come back to my layers there. So now I've got the essentially a giant sort of a rectilinear prism that extends right the way back to the horizon. So I'll give it some thickness, holding shift down here, and we want that to be grey 2 for the stroke, and 1 mil is good. And back to the line tool again. These don't have to snap like this, but they are trying to. So I'm just getting them overlapping because I'll just trace around this later. So that's the first sort of cubic column, if you like. Now we can move on to the left and the right. So that is the one sticking out this side and that side. So let's go left and right. We'll lock that layer there. Actually, I have to make sure that I'm not selecting, not locking the layer before I select a new layer, because it sort of seems to lock me in. So back to our lines again, and then where do we go? So say through here. So this is going to be one arm that projects out, and then control left click, another one there, and so that is that'll make it probably quite just grab that end point. Maybe I'll bring it out to sort of here. That way, because the vanishing, when you get really close to the horizon like that, your diagonal lines get very skinny. So hold shift so that it does that. And then now these are all vanishing back to the left vanishing point. These ones need to vanish back down to the right vanishing point. So control click somewhere off the control click to get to these ones, and then a vertical to define this last edge here. Something like that. So that I've got that face that projects all the way back here. I can't see anything underneath it. And then I need to give it the extension here. Now this is this one's fatter than this one. That arm is fatter than the other one, so it should be coming up to here. Like that. I can overlap that if I want to. And then a vertical. This one's shorter. So that's going to be that, like that. Now, actually what I might do too is make that one quite a bit longer. I'll shift that down there so it actually projects all the way, because I'm going to project up from here to do the front and the back now. So that's the left and the right done. Now I'll make sure that layer is active, and then I'll lock the front and back. Sorry, the left and right. So the front and the back needs to we've got that height there. We know that that's how high the front projection is going to be. So let's come through here. Remember, I'm not going for an edge anymore, or for a point. I need to go through that intersection point there, and then let's go to say, oh, that's really irritating, wasn't it? It was giving me the heights, the dimensions of the line. Let's control click, and then the bottom part of it comes off of this intersection point here, like that, and then this is a vertical for the outside edge. Down shift, then I can project from this vanishing point back to this tip here, pass through there. And I'm going to have to, let's just project it all the way up here so I know that I'll get it. And this one here will come through to here. So I should It'd be good if that line was actually projecting further. That one goes through to there. This one goes through, maybe we'll just do the bottom one then. So from here, through that intersection point there, it's projected off over to, all the way over to there like that. And then we've got that vanishing point there through to, as you can see, it's getting pretty, through that point there. It's getting pretty dense. Let's go back and just extend that line there. And then let's do from here, from that point there. Once again, my tooltip was getting over the top of it. Okay, so that's that, and then it does go back from this point to that vanishing point there. And yeah, well, there you have it. That is all of the guidelines that I need, and as you can see, it's pretty difficult to read this in 3D. So let's start. I'll go to the edges now, lock that one. I just need to, yeah, there, I'm happy there. I must need to highlight this as well as make it active. Right, so now I can start tracing around the edges, and what I'm going to do there is do that in green so that it's a little bit easier to see. So stroke is green. Let's make it 2 millimeters. This is all 1 millimeter lines, so we'll make it 2 mils. And let's start trying to trace around some of these guidelines to fill this thing in. So I'll start here. I'll use the pen tool actually. And I've locked everything? Yes, so I can't accidentally move anything. So click and goes down to there. This comes to here. Control click off. Now that's going down to there. I haven't actually done the one that projects all the way back yet. Okay, let's lock that layer, unlock the front and back layer, and then go back to my grey lines. And go, so that line comes down, it intersects that front edge there. Oh, the reason why, I'm not going to see it, it's all going to be hidden behind this one, unless I project it all the way out here, so let's do that. Sorry, I clicked and dragged then. And I'm on the pen tool, so go to the line tool, hit control, cancel. You can click and drag the line tool, but not the pen tool, if you want a straight line, that is. So that goes through to there, and then another projection goes through to here, and so just draw a vertical line down here somewhere. Right, now I've got all of my lock that layer. Good. So now I'm back to the pen tool, and let's go back to green again, and up to 2. Right, so now I've got all the lines I need. So we can come with the pen tool, actually control click so I don't, let's just start somewhere else. That's that one there. Actually, if I draw front to back, it might be a little bit easier. So There we go. And then control click. Oh, not click and drag, sorry. There we go, that's that front one. Control click somewhere else. Then let's do this bit here. Control click somewhere to get. Now this one, we've got a projection, so it's coming up here. These aren't lining up very well, are they? But that's probably how it's going to be when you draw things by hand. That's the front face. Control click somewhere. That's the side face there. And then we've just got to do this one here, which is it goes all the way down to there and across to there. Control click somewhere. Now let's turn off some of these layers and see how that looks, or hide some of them at least. Yeah, well that's a little bit better. That's a bit easy to see, isn't it? Oh, we haven't drawn that part there. And there we go. So that's that part drawn in. Turn those off. Yeah, as you can see, a little bit awkward that the horizon lines are passing through, so I'll unlock them, go into the direct selection mode, and just select that anchor point and bring it across to here, and then this one here, just select that anchor point and bring it. Oh, look at it snapping, it's painful. Take that back and I'll just grab that and hold shift down. There we go. So that makes it a little bit easier to see. So now we're looking pretty good. Okay, so now let's make it read a little bit more clearly as well by creating the shaded faces. So I'll lock that edges layer and come onto the shaded faces layer. Let's make sure that I'm drawing in something that's sort of contrasty, so the fill and the stroke can be grey, and let's double check I'm on that right layer. So I'm on the shaded faces layer, and we just trace around. Let's turn off that fill while we're doing this so we can see what we're doing, and now we can turn it back on again in the end. So let's go here and then this one, and then this one. Zoom out a little bit. There we go, and now we can fill all of those. So select that one and then just make sure it's filled. This one, make sure it's got the fill. Make sure I'm just checking up here and clicking the fill here, and then doing the fill there like that. And so why don't we also, you can see these are sort of covering over my edge lines as well. So what I'll do is I'll just drag this below the edges. And maybe let's go, I'm still in this one, so let's grab that and just use the selection tool to drag that down there like that so it doesn't overlap. It's probably hard to see on your screen. And so the last step is we'll create this the outline around the outside. So let's highlight that layer, we'll lock that one, and then back to the pen tool again, and we'll give this a black, and just the stroke is what we want, and no fill, and then we'll just work our way around the outside. So start here. Actually, let's crank up the size of it. Zoom in a little bit here so I get this step. Zooming in and out just so it makes it a little bit easier to find those anchor points. And then with this one I'll adjust my stroke so it has a cap, a rounded cap and a rounded corner, and I'm going to align it to the outside so it just shoves it out from those things. That's what I want there. Now I'll go and do that too with the with those other layers. So I'll lock that one now, I'll unlock the edges layer, make it active, and then select everything in it, all those strokes, make those strokes rounded as well. They can stay in the center alignment, which is fine. And then what I also want to do, let's have a look at that. Shade faces underneath those, that's fine. And then what I'll do is change that green. So because the green is a global color, as you can see from the little triangle here, if I change the color here, it'll change it, click preview, it'll change it everywhere. So what I'm after is a sort of a charcoaly kind of a grey, which just means everything's down in this kind of a zone. Maybe a greenish grey. No, that's a bit sickly. Okay, so just a charcoal then. Everything's down sort of that. Oh, maybe a reddish. Anyway, okay, it doesn't really matter. So, so there we go. We've got a 2-point perspective version of the 1-point perspective that we saw here. So fat things sticking out that to the front and the left, skinny to the right and the back. So, you know, but the distortion, because these vanishing points are very close together, that does make this quite distorted. And strangely enough, I projected that one just so that that edge there actually lines up with that back edge. But when you can see that it's all shaded in, it becomes quite clear that this is actually well ahead of that. And so the thicker lines helps to make that read as well. So hopefully you can see that this is exactly the same as drawing it on a notebook by hand, and the only reason I'm not drawing it with a notebook by hand for this demo is because I don't have a camera set up to record, and it wasn't a very nice day yesterday, so the lighting inside wasn't very good as well. So I thought I'd just make a clearer drawing on Illustrator, but all I'm doing is making lines that they're easy to hide, which is kind of good, but drawing by hand with a bit of practice you can draw them lighter, and so maybe it's sort of a little bit easier to see what you're doing by hand because all the lines aren't exactly the same weight. If you get to a certain sort of point and you really get confused as to where the lines are going and where they should go, instead of waiting to the end to line everything in around the edge and to shade stuff in, you can actually put thicker edges and shading in as you go, and that can actually help with sort of the process of doing it. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing any results that come from this. I'll put a link to the 1-point perspective tutorial, which goes into some detail about the vanishing points and the horizon in the description as well. But that's everything for now.